Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on the Wealthy Trustee webinar. So tonight we are going to be talking about trust and how you can protect your assets and how you can build generational wealth utilizing these trusts. So I'm just going to mute everyone, start the webinar presentation, and then we will leave Q&A for the end. Perfect. All right. All right, so you guys are at the Wealthy Trustee webinar. So we are going to be talking about wealth. My name is Christina Yvette. I am a passive income strategist. I own a brand called 7 Ways to Wealth if you guys are not familiar. Just a quick disclaimer, this is not legal advice or tax advice. I am not a licensed attorney or a certified public accountant. Hold on, I hear somebody off of mute. Okay, perfect. So the objective of tonight is for you guys to know what a trust is, how to set up a trust entity, who are the contributors of a trust, how to operate a trust, what strategies, tax strategies you can utilize in order to bring your tax liability down to zero, and what wealth strategies you can use in order to build generational wealth with the trust and how you can protect your assets, okay? Hold on. Let's see here. Okay, so my name is Christina Yvette. Like I said, I'm a passive income strategist. So I have been a trustee since 2015. That is when I first bought my first property and I put it under a trust. So I have been doing this for a while now, and I have helped hundreds of people create residual income, okay? So I actually wanted to show you guys my setup and my structure, okay? So I have a real estate company. That real estate company is registered in the state of Florida, is called Elite Homes Enterprise, okay? So this is the Secretary of State. I want to show you guys that here I'm the registered agent. So that's soon going to change. Now I'm going to use a third party as the registered agent. But under the authorized member of that LLC is Urban Holdings. So I utilize a holding company in order to protect my identity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look up Urban Holdings under the Secretary of State. And under Urban Holdings, you can see I'm the registered agent for that. And like I said, I'm going to use a third party moving forward as of last week so that I'm not seen as the registered agent. But you can see that the CEO of Urban Holdings is Ways to Wealth. What is Ways to Wealth? That is a trust entity. So the trust owns the holding company and the holding company owns the LLC where I conduct all of my business, okay? So now let's resume. All right, so with these major companies, right, how do these big time companies like Amazon, like Berkshire Hathaway, like Trump, how do these big time companies not pay taxes? They pay either zero taxes or they pay, like they said in the media, they pay less taxes than their secretaries, right? So let's just use Trump for an example. So we're going to go look up the Trump Organization. So this is the Trump Organization. And as you can see, the ownership of this organization is private. So you don't know who the owner is. And then if you scroll down here, you can see that it says that it is a principal holding company for all the Trump business ventures and investments, okay? So when you are thinking about getting structured, you want to get structured properly, and you want to be able to protect your assets so that when someone comes to sue you or anything like that, all of your personal assets that you've built over time are protected, okay? So now this is the US dollar, right? This is a $1 bill. So do you see the word trust? So some of you guys, you can unmute and you can let me know. This is a pop quiz. Do you see the word trust?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it says, in God we trust. So what do you think that is? What do you think in God we is?
That's already that's a trust company.
Okay.
That's a trust they form.
Exactly. It's a trust that was formed by the United States, right? So if the United States is utilizing a trust, right? You see it says in God we trust /USA Inc. because the United States is a company and they are utilizing a trust entity. A lot of people are not aware of this. But so it's actually, in plain sight. We just have to do our due diligence to figure out what it is. So if the United States is utilizing a trust, do you think it's safe to say that you should also be utilizing a trust? Okay, so now let's move on. So what is a trust entity? So a trust is a three-party contract, you guys. There are several people involved. So the first person is the grantor. The grantor is also the settlor or the creator of the trust, okay? So that is the party that actually creates the trust, and they create it for the benefit of the beneficiary, okay? And they are the party that actually donates all of their assets to the trust, okay? The second party is the trustee. That is the controller of the trust. So the trustee is the party that controls all the assets. So it does all of the buying and the selling on behalf of the trust, and it operates the trust. So the last position is the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the inheritor. So that is the person who actually owns all the assets in the trust, okay? And they're the person who's going to receive the assets once the trust is expired, okay? So now, the position that you want to be in is the trustee position, right? Because there are several different types of trusts, which we'll get into, we'll touch in a minute, but you want to be in the position to where you are controlling the asset, right? You don't want to be the person who created the trust. You want to be the person who controls the trust. So you do all the buying, you do all the selling, you do all the investments when it comes to the trust, okay? Your beneficiaries. So if you have a business trust, your beneficiary is going to be your private family trust, because you don't want to mix business with where you're holding your assets. So you need to have multiple trusts. So I highly recommend that you have two trusts. One is your private family trust, where you're going to hold your house, your vehicles, any brokerage accounts, any bank accounts, right, with actual funds in it. And then and so that's going to be the beneficiary of your business trust. And then your business trust is where you're going to be operating your business, right? They're going to be owning your business. Okay, so you don't want to be the beneficiary, right? The beneficiary is your children. And you don't want to be the grantor, because the grantor has no power when it comes to the trust. They give up all of the power once they, sorry, let me unmute, let me mute. Okay. So, thank you for staying on mute. So when it comes to the grantor, they have no power, right? So they create the trust, and then at that point in time, it's done. Their power is over. They have no power over the trustee. The trustee is the person who has all the power. So when you're creating this type of entity, you want to be in control, right? As long as you are living. So you want to be the trustee, and you do not want to hold two positions within this entity. So you don't want to be the trustee and the beneficiary, and you don't want to be the grantor and the trustee, okay? Because that is going to create an alter ego scenario, which can actually hinder your protection against, litigation, okay? So you want to, as far as the grantor, you want to choose someone that you trust, either, a parent, a sibling, someone like that, to be the grantor on paper, even though it's really you, the one who's creating the trust for the benefit of your children. You want to put someone else on paper, okay? So what is the trust, right? The trust indenture is a deed of trust. So it's a contract, right? It's a declaration for you to either be operating in the private, right? That means that you're not on the public records. You can't be searched, and all of your assets are private. And or you could be also operating your business with the business trust in the private as well. So if you have a business and it doesn't need like any commercial licensing or anything like that, you can just create a business entity and conduct business. You do not have to be registered with the Secretary of State if you don't want to, okay? And with this contract, like I said, the creator has the control, doesn't have the control, the trustee does, okay? So, like I said, the creator, what they do is the grantor, they appoint the first trustee, but they don't have any control over what the trustee does. Okay, so their power is done once they create the trust. Okay. And they are the individuals that transfer their assets into the trust. But if you have, like I said, if you're using someone that you trust, like an aunt or something like that, then that doesn't apply, right? They're not going to be transferring their own personal assets. It's your assets that are going to be transferred, okay? So the trustee, what they're going to do is they are going to appoint a successor or someone who is going to take over the trust after them, okay? Because the trust, it can go for however many years you determine. So like typically a business trust, you want it to go for like 25, 50 years maybe. And then for like a private family trust, like 100 years, okay? So because we're creating generational wealth, so this wealth needs to last way longer than it needs to outlive us, basically. It needs to go from generation to generation, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations down the line, okay? So the trustee is going to invest the trust funds. So they are the individual that's going to be signing, right, on behalf of the trust. So if you're going to go open up a bank account to put the trust funds in, the trustee is doing it. If you're going to sell property, the trustee is going to be the one signing at the closing, right? If you're going to be purchasing a vehicle under the trustee is the one who's going to be representing the trust. Okay. And like I said, the beneficiary, that is the individual that has all the benefits, all the beneficial interests when it comes to the trust. When the trust is dissolved, all of the assets are then transferred to the beneficiary. Okay. And we use something called units. So they are going to be the holder of these TCU units. And with this, they are so it just depends on how many beneficiaries you have. So let's just say that based on the assets that are in the trust, you have like 4 beneficiaries, then each beneficiary is going to have 25 units, right, out of 100 units. So the trust is going to issue 100 units, and each beneficiary is going to get equal share. And lastly is a protector. So let's just say that you want someone to look over the trustee. Let's just say the trustee is a third party, because some of these families, they use third party, which are trust companies. So you can actually have someone be a protector to look over the trustee. And if the trustee is not, conducting themselves, or if they're, stealing from the trust or something like that, then they can, they can initiate for them to resign. So now there's different types of trusts. You have an express trust, you have land trust, which specifically deals with real estate. You have a living trust, which doesn't give you the full protection as an irrevocable trust. You have a revocable trust, which is similar to a living trust. So a living trust is, like I said, where you are putting yourselves into positions. You are the creator and the trustee. So with that type of trust, you can be sued and they can pierce the corporate veil and go through the trust contract. With a revocable trust, that trust can actually be changed by anybody, right? By the beneficiary, by the trustee. And so once you are creating a trust, you don't want it to be changed. If there needs to be any type of amendments to the trust, then you want to be able to bring it to the board. You want to be able to bring it to the beneficiaries and get approval for it. You can't just make it that easy. With a revocable trust, once the grantor dies, it becomes irrevocable, okay? So now what is the best type of trust? So the best type of trust to have, which is an absolute bulletproof trust, is an irrevocable trust. So an irrevocable trust cannot be changed, right? So like the Constitution, the bylaws, they cannot be changed, but you can add to the trust. And if you need to change something, you need the approval of the beneficiary. So like in that situation, you would go to your kids and say, hey, I need to make a change, right? So this is the best type of trust to have because it's the trust that it's non-statutory. So if you get into any type of litigation issues, it has to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And 9 times out of 10, a judge is not going to pierce that contract. They're not going to go through the trust. They're going to dismiss the lawsuit, okay? So there are several different types of irrevocable trust. My favorite type of trust, and the one that I educate on, is a 508c1a trust. So that is the tax code. I know that you guys have heard of like a 501c3, which is a nonprofit tax exempt entity. Well, this one is similar. This is also a nonprofit tax exempt entity, but you don't have to apply for tax exempt status. So once you create this trust, which it has several different names, you have, they use it as ministry trust, church trust, convention, faith-based organization. So once this type of entity is, once you create it, it's already tax exempt. You do not have to apply for tax exempt status, okay? All you have to do is put in your mission statement that you are operating as a 508c1a, okay? And when it comes to FBO or faith-based organization, it can be faith in anything. So a lot of people think, oh, this is religious, it's like, it's like a church or something like that. No, like yes, it can be a church and it falls under that just because you have that separation between church and state. So that's why there's this loophole in the IRS, which I'll show you in just a minute. But there's a separation between church and state. And so they give this automatic tax exempt status to, faith-based organizations. Now, you can have faith in anything, right? You can have faith in the universe. You can have faith in God. You can have faith in mankind. You can have faith in humanity. You can have faith in anything, right? So it doesn't specify what the faith is. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. And I also want you to have an open mind, okay? Because like my organization is faith in mankind. I do have faith in mankind. So it's not religious. So let's just go through the IRC real quick. Okay, so this is the IRC. And if you go down to exemptions right here, so C1A is right here. So it says mandatory exemption. So you have, let's just go to part B where it says any organization which is not a private foundation and the gross receipts of which are which each are taxable in are normally not more than 5,000, right? So with your business revenue, what you are going to do is you are going to structure all of your income as as donations, right? Whatever is coming in. Let's just say you have an online business, or let's just say that you're in real estate, right? You're a real estate investor, you have a property and you have a tenant in there, right? So basically with that property, your rental income is not going to be labeled as rental income. It's going to be labeled as monthly donations, okay? All right, so why do you need a trust? You need it for asset protection, right? You also need it for 100% privacy because, like I said, when you're dealing commercially in the public records, everything is there. So let's just say that you have a house and this house is in your name, right? I can go to the public records in your county and I can put your first and last name and I will be able to find your address, and I will also be able to find every single house that you own, right? And you can do the same thing with other assets as well. So you don't want to be put into that position where, let's just say that you get into some kind of a legal issue and not a judge, but like a lawyer is looking for, for whoever this John Doe is, right? And they look him up and they see, wow, John Doe owns 4 houses, right? So now you are put in a position to where, they can take your assets away from you because it's in your name. Another thing is that your name is not your name, right? So we think that, whatever properties we own we own these properties, but in fact we don't, because our name, when we were born, right? When we were born and we were issued a birth certificate, we were turned into an entity. So we are a legal entity and the owner of that entity, right? Because it's a trust, actually. We have a Sister Q trust under our name, under our all caps name. Some people know about this, but so with that, we're not in control, right? We don't own our name. We don't own, we don't own it. We don't own the trust. So you want to be able to have these assets in your own private trust, not the trust that the United States created for you at birth when you were issued a birth certificate, okay? I hope that this is coming out clear, clear as day. But anyways, so that's one thing, right? Another thing is, a lot of us think that if we have an LLC, we have limited liability, right? And it's just like what it says, it's limited. So yes, you can be sued. Yes, if they pierce the corporate veil for your company, then all of your personal assets that has nothing to do with your business is up for grabs. So you don't want to be that person or in that situation. So now if you are operating privately, meaning that you have all of your assets in a trust, let's just say that you have a rental property, somebody has a slip and fall, right, in this rental property, and they want to go sue the owner. How are they going to be able to find the owner? When you go to the public records, like for example, one of the trusts that I just showed you is called Ways to Wealth. When they go to the public records, they see Ways to Wealth. What the hell is that? It doesn't even have the name trust in it. So they don't even know what type of entity it is. They don't even know the first step to go, right? So you want to be able to operate in 100% privacy. You don't want anyone to know how many assets you have, what your net worth is, you know, what you have going on. And the same thing goes for your bank accounts, right? I was just talking to someone about this. So a lot of people know what's going on with Kanye West, right? He had $140 million in his Chase bank account, and his account got closed. He said they treated him like shit. But if Kanye West had that $140 million in a trust, and let's just say he called it the Ye Trust or Ye Trust, whatever his name is now, right? Do you think that they would have been able to close his account? The answer is no, because they don't know who the owner of that trust is, right? That trust is a living, breathing entity. It's totally separate from Kanye West. So he would not have had that situation if he wasn't dealing publicly with using his name everywhere, right? So you want to also keep that into consideration, okay? So now when it comes to your assets, what can they protect you against? They can protect you against bankruptcies, right? Because the first thing that you want to do when you execute your trust is you want to transfer your primary residence into a trust, right? And so now let's just say that you've fallen behind on payments, right? Your bank can issue, they can begin the bankruptcy proceedings, but at the end of the day, because you have a non-statutory pure trust, they cannot go through litigation, right? It's going to be thrown out because you have an irrevocable trust that owns that house. Same thing with like divorce, right? You know, when like everything is all gravy when you first fall in love and love somebody, but then when you fall out of love, they want to take, you know, half of your assets, right? Well, if you have your assets in a trust, then no divorce lawyer can go after you for those assets because those assets are not owned by you, okay? So same thing goes with lawsuits, heavy taxation, probate, right? Let's talk about probate because probate is such a sensitive topic because individuals who own these estates, right? They didn't have their estate planning in order. They didn't have a will in order. They just, you know, passed away. And now it's up to a judge if your child gets your house, right? And then another thing is that they got probate tax plus litigation plus inheritance tax plus a death tax. There's just so much. So by the time the judge is done with you or your heirs, right, they probably going to get 25% of what you left them because you didn't have your estate in order. You didn't have, you know, you didn't have a trust, right? So with a trust, it makes it so easy for you to transfer your assets. The transfer of wealth is so much easier because your beneficiaries already own the assets. There's nothing that you have to do when you die. You can die in peace, knowing that that your children already own the assets. And so what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position, because a lot of us, we are like, yeah, well, I own this, I own that, oh, I own that. Well, you don't need to be flaunting that, right? You don't need to be flaunting that you own 10 houses, right? And you don't need to prove to anyone by having this house in your name. All you want to do in your lifetime is control your assets, right? Control your vehicles, control your bank accounts, control your homes, and make sure that they're transferred the right way. So there is not, once you have your assets in a trust, there's nothing else for you to do. The transfer is automatic. And once that trust is dissolved, then it automatically goes to your beneficiaries, whoever you issued a unit to, okay? And the same thing, like I said, with foreclosures and bankruptcies, that's all the same thing, right? So you want to be able to protect this wealth that you're building. We are building generational wealth for our children but we are so busy building it that we're not even worried about, what happens when we're transferring it, right? So it's called, when you're talking about the transfer of wealth, it's called stewardship, right? Stewardship is when you are being a good steward to your trust entity and you are doing the right thing as a trustee, and you are in the position where you are owning nothing but controlling everything, right? So let me give you another example, right? The Kennedys. Everyone knows that the Kennedys are multimillionaires or billionaires, right? I'm not sure what status they're in, right? Well, when it comes to the Kennedys, they got into a litigation issue and this lady sued them. And at the end of the lawsuit, she got nothing because the Kennedys claimed, right, that they own nothing. They have nothing. They have zero income and they have zero assets, which is true on paper. So even though you see them with the fancy cars and the houses and all this stuff, their trust owns everything. So they're set up properly. And not you, not me, nobody can go and try to sue the Kennedys, okay? So that's the position that you want to be in. You want to be like the Kennedys, you want to be like the Trumps, you want to be like the Gates, right? You want to start protecting your assets and putting yourself in position now. Even if you don't have the wealth yet, just know that you're going to get the wealth. And so you need to be structured the right way from the beginning, okay? So like I said, it's stewardship. So you need to be controlling your assets. The units of beneficial interest is the UBIs. So with the UBIs, your trust is going to, when it's created, is going to have 100 units of beneficial interest. That is a certificate. It's just like a stock certificate. That is the certificate that, or the units that you give to your beneficiaries, right? Showing that they have beneficial interest in all of the assets that's owned by the trust. So like I said, if you have 4 children, you're going to issue 25 units per child. And if that child has a child, they are going to distribute or redistribute actually their units to their child. So that is how the transfer of wealth happens, okay? So we are, we're building the wealth, but we also need to preserve the wealth, okay? So once you create your trust, which I do want to show you guys. I do want to show you what a trust looks like. I'll do that in just a minute. But anyways, once you create your trust, you are going to apply for an EIN, just like you would with your corporation or your LLC, right? You're going to go on to the IRS.gov website and you're going to apply for an EIN. They're going to ask you what type of EIN you want to apply for. So you're going to check the box that says trust. And then they're going to ask you what type of trust. You're going to put for like your business, you're going to put other, and then it's going to be an organization, right? So that is the process. You could actually fill out an SS4 form, or you could do it online. It's just so much easier online. So once you create an EIN, then you can open up a bank account so that you can have, your trust funds in a bank account, right? And like I said, your trust is a living, breathing entity. It can do everything that you can do. So if you could buy real estate, the trust could buy real estate, right? So the trust could get a mortgage and purchase a house. They could go through financing and purchase a car. They could build credit, right? So that's something that you want to also think about when it comes to your business trust, right? Getting an EIN, creating a Dun & Bradstreet, and start creating corporate credit. So like I said, when you are going to apply for a bank account, what you're going to do is you're going to have, since the trust is an entity, you are going to have to conduct meetings whenever you are executing things for your trust. So you're going to conduct a meeting to just determine what type of bank account you're going to get. You're going to get a checking account, a savings account, who's going to be the signatory on there, right? How many are required, things like that. Once you have determined that, then you go ahead and you take the declaration to the bank, right? And the declaration is just a one-page form which shows that you actually have a trust, okay? You do not show anybody your trust. Your trust is private and no one needs to know the contents within that contract, only you. The trust is going to be notarized. So that is what creates that, creates that legal entity. It has to be notarized, okay? Another thing with the trust is you want to also be able to create 2 copies of the trust, just in case, right? I'm in Miami, we just had a hurricane, right? A lot of people lost everything. So imagine if you had a hurricane just wipe out your trust documents, right? So you want to be able to have, multiple copies just in case, right? If you have one in a PO box or, things like that, okay? So when it comes to you transferring your assets, specifically a house, you are going to do a quick claim deed. Okay, so the house is already in your name. You're going to do a quick claim deed and you're just going to sign it over to the trust and then you're going to record it on the county recorder's office. Okay, so that is how you're able to transfer your assets. And the same thing goes for your vehicles, right? You're just going to go to the DMV and then you're going to transfer the title. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about generational wealth when it comes to you utilizing this type of entity. Okay, so this is a wealth building formula. So the first thing is you want to be structured the right way. So just like I showed you in the beginning of this Zoom call, you have an LLC. The LLC is owned by a holding company. So what is the purpose of that? That is to have a second layer of protection when it comes to your business dealings, because people are sue friendly, right? So they're going to want to sue your company. And so if your company is not owned by you, if it's owned by a holding company, then, let's just say that those assets are held by a holding company, then that reduces your liability, okay? So your income is going to flow up from your LLC to your holding company to your business trust. And from your business trust, it's going to go to your private family trust where you get to, do everything that you do for your family, which is pay your mortgage, your car note, get groceries, tuition, all this other stuff, right? You want to have, like I said, you want to have multiple trusts. And then you want to have that circle of trust, okay? So you want to get structured the right way. That's the first step when it comes to you building wealth. The second step is for you to start building corporate credit when it comes to your business trust, okay? You are not going to create or build credit for your private family trust. Your private family trust is going to have no dealings in the public sector. It's going to be 100% private. So your business trust is going to be out there. You can have it registered on the Secretary of State. You can have it registered as a nonprofit and you can start qualifying for nonprofit grants, okay? So you can get business grants. Another thing is you're going to start building corporate credit with your business trust. This, like I said, it's an entity, so it can build trust with that EIN number, okay? And then once you build corporate credit with that EIN number for your business trust, you are going to invest those funds. So you are going to open up a brokerage account and you can start investing in stocks, right? You can start investing in stocks and index, different things like that. Then you also want to utilize insurance, right? I'm not sure if you guys have an insurance policy. If you don't, you need to get one. I myself have an IUL, which is an Index Universal Life Insurance policy. My policy is not owned by me. My policy is owned by my trust. Okay, so your trust is going to own your insurance policies. You need to have an insurance policy for every member in your household. Okay, so that's your kids, and then if you have beneficial interest for your parents. Okay, so now that your trust owns your insurance policy, when you pass away, where does the death benefit go? I have a death benefit of $2.8 million. That death benefit is going to go into my brokerage account, my cash management brokerage account for my trust. So those are trust funds, right? But it's going to be for the benefit of my beneficiaries, which are my 3 children. Okay, so you want to be putting yourself in that position because it's going to ensure the preservation of your wealth. Do you know how many people build wealth and by the 2nd and 3rd generation, the wealth is gone? This happens all the time. Why? Because they don't have a trust in place, or they don't have these type of preservations to where you are investing, and if anything happens, you have insurance, right? Because your beneficiaries are assets. They are human assets, right? You have your monetary assets like your houses and cars and cash, but your beneficiaries are the human assets. So you have to insure those human assets, right? If they die, then that is putting, your entire wealth at a disservice. So you need to get paid back, which is the death benefit. Okay. Real estate, right? Real estate, crypto, those are other things that you can invest in. When it comes to real estate, if you decide to do the business trust with the 508c1a, you can apply for tax exempt status, which means that you do not have to pay the county taxes for that home. Okay, it's only limited to 1 property. So if you're smart and you have 10 properties, you're going to have 10 trusts, and each property is going to be tax exempt. Okay, the same thing with crypto. You are going to, I know it's like the blockchain and everything, but you want to be able to open up your accounts, your crypto accounts with your trust. Okay, everything is done with the trust. You want to limit how many assets you have in your personal name, how many times you use your personal name, and your social security number. Okay, for full privacy, but also to ensure that you actually own it. Because like I said, the United States has a trust under you. They own it, but we are made to believe that we own it. All right, so what are you going to do after you build up the corporate credit? You're going to bankrupt the trust. So what are you talking about? Okay, so a lot of people do this, but I'm just only going to use Donald Trump as an example. Do you know how many times he has filed for bankruptcy? 12 times. Is it illegal? No, there's nothing illegal about bankruptcy. So one of the strategies is for you to build business credit on a business trust, transfer the assets to your private family trust, and bankrupt that trust. I'm gonna leave it there. All right, so I shared a lot of information with you guys, and the only thing that I have to say is take action. Take action on the information that I have shared with you guys today. So let me just read this. It says, the trust is your new form of doing business and making a profit, right? It can solve a lot of your problems and provide exceptional asset protection and tax savings if you properly operate it, right? If you use it, because a lot of people, they'll execute a trust and they won't use it. They'll still have their house on their personal name. And then they're going to wait until they get sued or fall behind payments or any of those things before they decide to take action, right? So you need to treat this trust as if it was Google, as if it was Facebook, as if it was Amazon. You need to do what the 1% does, what the wealthy do. Why do you think they pay less taxes than their secretary? Put yourself in position, avoid heavy taxation, because that money that you are spending on taxes, you can flip it, right? You can use it to invest in other assets for your beneficiaries. Let me give you an example. My son, he plays basketball, and he was watching this thing about Steph Curry on the television the other day. And it was saying that Steph Curry had a contract for $250 million, but he has to pay $142 million to the IRS. Like, that is insane. Why? And he lives in California, which is one of the most expensive states. So they're taking half of his income that could be used for generational wealth, right? $142 million, that is insane. So now imagine if Steph Curry had a trust, a business trust, a private family trust. Would he be giving $142 million to the IRS? No. So you need to be avoiding heavy taxation, and you need to do it legally. There's legal ways of reducing your liability down to zero. And one of these entities is a 508c1a trust. Okay. So I do want to show you guys the trust in just a minute, just one of the trusts. But what I have to say is, let's work together, right? So I am packaging all of this information and creating a course, right? The course is halfway done. It launches on November 11th, 11/11. What a beautiful day, right? Right now, it's available for pre-sale. It's half off, so it's only $497. Once it launches on 11/11, it's going to be $997. In this course, you are going to be given the templates for the business trust, for the private family trust. Those are two different types of trusts. Those are two different types of contracts, constitutions, and bylaws, okay? You are going to be taught about the different duties of the trustee, the grantor, and the beneficiaries. You are going to be taught how to apply for your EIN, how to transfer your assets, how to build corporate credit for your business trust, and how to invest those funds in order for you to create generational wealth. And you're going to be taught how to preserve your wealth utilizing insurance and other ways. Okay. If you don't want to wait until November 11th, then I have a done with you service, which is a one-on-one. You get 5 Zoom calls with me, and we can set up your trust tomorrow. So it just depends on what you want. And that is $997. So now let me just show you one of the trusts. I'll show you the business trust, and then I will open up the floor for questions. All right, I hope you guys can see my screen. This is the declaration of trust. So you as the trustee is going to initial, the grantor is going to initial, and everything that's highlighted in red is where you're going to fill in. So you'll fill in your state, you'll fill in the name of your trust, you'll fill in the name of the grantor in all of these spots. So this is the declaration of the irrevocable trust. So you're going to have the grantor sign, you're going to sign as a trustee, and then you're going to have the declaration notarized. Then this is the constitution of the trust or the articles of organization. So you can use both terms, right? So like I said, you're going to have the name of it. You're going to have like who your registered agent is, the purpose of the trust, your affiliations, your trustee, the duration, however long you want this business trust to be in operation, your annual meetings, whatever partnerships you have, whatever properties that the trust purchases, or whatever financing that the business trust does. Then you're going to sign it. And then this is the bylaws. So all of this is covered in the trust. I'm just quickly showing you guys so that we can get into Q&A. But it just shows you like the trustee relationship, the relationship between the grantor and the trustee, the resignations of the trustee or who their successors are, annual meetings, again, limited liability of the trustee. So that's one thing I didn't mention, but the trustee is not liable for anything that the trust does. All right, how to transfer the certificate units, private rights, disclosures, any type of amendments. Then you are going to notarize the trust. This is how it becomes a legal entity. It has to be notarized. If it's not notarized, it's not a legal entity. Then Schedule A, that is where you're going to document whatever property you are transferring to the trust. So you're going to put like your address, and then you will initiate like the quick claim deed, and that needs to be notarized. So whenever you are transferring assets into the trust, you have to fill out a Schedule A. And then whenever you are having meetings, so this is the template, and we have a bunch of templates for you. So that is it, guys. I am going to open the floor for any questions that you guys may have. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that. I'm also going to put in the chat. I don't know, there's a lot going on in the chat. Are these trusts set up all as spendthrift trust? It's a 508c1a trust. Come on, this is not goals, this is goals. I love it.
Christine.
Yes.
I had, well, I'm redoing my trust now. I'm expanding it. I'm the executor of the trust. The executor of the trust is the order to the trustee. The trustee is responsible for all bills to be paid for the estate. So you might want to change some aspects of that in terms of, the stuff. Because the trustee is responsible to pay all the bills for the estate. And see, if they don't pay the bills, they're actually liable for anything that falls on the trust. Because what you're doing is you're transferring the right for them to take care of all bills related to it. So when the estate gets the bill, the trust, because that's why you're appointing the trustee. You're taking care of all the bills for the estate. So if they're not taking care of that, they could be held legally responsible.
Right, so they have limited liability, like I said. But yes, if they are not doing right by the trust, they are liable, right? They are
But you,
liable.
but what I'm saying is you don't want to be the trustee because the trustee is holding the liability for all bills being paid. What the individual wants to do is be the executor of the trust because the executor is the same as the grantor, but the executor is above the grantor because the grantor you want to take the executive position because you're telling the trustee what you need them to do for the estate.
So,
Because that's how I'm structured on mine.
okay, so your trust may be different than the trust I'm talking about, but the grantor has no control, so you do not want to be in that position. You want to be the trustee.
No, what I'm saying is, yeah, the grantor is transferring over to the executor. The executor tells the trustee what needs to be done because what you're doing is every time you have a meeting with the trustee has to make sure, give them an itemized report of what has been paid out for the estate and everything of that sort. So then they have to give, but the executive could say, well, wait a minute, no, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Now, based on that trust is broke down. He can have limited liability or he can have full liability. It just determines on what they put in the trust and how much responsibility they give the trustee to take care of the estate.
Right, so it depends. Everyone is structured differently. So
Right.
when I was presenting, I was talking, so what you're talking about, the executor, I labeled it as a protector. So a protector is there to watch over the trustee, but you don't want to be the protector or the
But you,
executor.
but when you go in the court, but see, this is the thing. When you go in the court as the executive, right? The executor is the one giving the orders. So I want to give you the order to do something. Because if I give the trustee total autonomy in terms of that, I mean, or whatnot, then if you're taking the power away from the executive, he can't take the trustee off of there because you've relinquished all authority over him. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to give them a certain percentage of control to handle the estate, but you never want to take the total control away from yourself because I want to be able to say, wait a minute, you're fucking shit up. I need you to fuck out of here. But if I sit here and I give you total autonomy and total control, how am I gonna be able to take you off when you're doing something wrong?
That's why you don't, okay, I'm not sure if you're understanding what I'm saying, but what you are explaining is a scenario where you are the grantor and you're giving total control to the trustee.
Right,
That's exactly what I hear.
but in court they call him the executive.
Okay,
You
there's
want
different terminologies, like
right,
the grantor is
right,
called the settler.
right,
There's different terminology.
right, but you don't want to you don't want to give that total responsibility
I
up.
agree with
You
you,
know
Orlando.
what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. So you need to make sure that you are in the right position when it comes to structuring these contracts.
Right, right.
Okay. All right. I have another question here. It says, can you do this with a construction company? Yes, you can. Okay. Let's see. Someone has their hand up. Do you have a question?
I do. Sorry. You said something about like you being when you get into a trust, right, and you put your company into the trust, that it's like like if you're in a church or like a church thing where you don't have to pay, like when you get a profit, it's like a donation. So if you own a construction company, right, and you finish the job and they give you, let's say, $15,000 for that job, is that considered a donation or no?
Yes. It
Yes.
is. Yeah, so whatever services that you're rendering or whatever products that you have, you're gonna structure it to where it's a donation. So you're just gonna make sure that you have the word donation in your invoice.
Gotcha. Now, what if you have employees? How would you pay that off, or how would you pay them?
So, so this type of trust doesn't work well if you have employees. Like if you have W-2 employees, if you have like 1099 independent contractors, then it's perfect. You just do your 1099s like regular.
So
Gotcha.
basically what you would have to do is don't pick up employees, just pick up independent contractors and do 1099. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next question.
Well, I just wanted to know, just to clarify, you're the way that you have the trust structure, the one that that you explained to us.
Yeah.
You're you are saying that you want us to be the trustee, pretty much, so we can have all the control.
Right. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure, because
Yeah, you want to have control over your assets and your property. Yes.
okay, so we would be the trustee of the structure trust that you have.
Yes, you're going to be the trustee of your trust and you are going to be, you have full autonomy to do whatever you want, which is all the buying and the selling and the investing, and you're in charge of the bank accounts and the house and, you know, everything.
Now, like I was saying, sir, with now you could be a trustee, but with the trustee, the responsibility of any I'm the executor on mine. Like you don't want to give a trustee total aspect, because what happens is they have bills to pay for the estate.
Orlando,
So
who is the trustee on your your trust?
I appoint my mother. She's
So,
appointed by me as the executor. So we go over. I had to show her, and then she had to break down. She had to break down everything quarterly to me, and we had to sit down and go over everything. And then she had to go by what I wanted to have done for the trust and the properties and
so
whatever.
she's the one doing everything. She's the one that's controlling the properties.
No, I'm controlling the property, because on the trust, I'm controlling, she's paying the bills for the estate.
Okay,
She's
so your trust is structured different than the trust that I'm educating on.
right, but what I'm saying is most trustees, they take care of the bills. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree
So,
with you 100%.
so,
So that's what I
so what-
said with the buying and the selling, with you paying your bills, like in your private family
but
trust, you're
this
paying
is
all the
the thing.
bills.
You're trying, no, but see, you're trying, remember, if I own it, why would owning it and paying it, the liability is falling on you. You're separating from there. So when they see me as the executive, right? They see me as the executive. I'm not responsible for nothing in the trust. She's paying the bills as the trustee, as the representative of it. But I'm not, but nowhere, because if they see your name on it, on the trust as a trustee, if you already paying bills now without a trust, they're gonna say, well, what's the difference? You in the trust, but you paying it. The only difference is you came in as a trustee that's already paying bills anyway. You don't do it that way. You do it as an executor, and then you appoint somebody that's not related. You're not related. Your family ain't related. Nobody in that family is supposed to be paying them. It's just like if you tell an attorney, I'm appointing you, he's not related. I need you every month or every 3 months to come back and report to me what you paying out, what's getting done for the estate, and that's it. Because
All right,
if
Orlando, we're gonna give someone else the chance
oh
to
no, I
chime
was
in.
just explaining. I was just
Yeah, no, you're too passionate, and some people are waiting.
all right. I'm too passionate. I never heard
No,
that.
no, listen, all I want to say is Orlando, you're structured differently. Okay,
Yeah.
so that I don't educate the way you structured it. It sounds like yours is a 4-party contract and I structured it as a 3-party contract. Okay, so we could take this offline.
Okay.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I just want to give you your gems and your jewels because no one's doing what you guys are doing. So I want to give you some gems and some jewels. Like make sure everybody's following you on Instagram and on your social media. My question to you is, uh, what made you want to get a trust? What got you into this?
I was actually forced into it. I was forced into it, you know, when I did my first real estate transaction. My first investment was in real estate. I invest in a lot of other stuff right now, but I was flipping a house. And so my mentor was like, the best way for you to structure it in order for you to avoid any type of foreclosures or any type of liens, because anything could happen when you flip in a house and you have these independent contractors. And let's just say somebody gets injured, that's it. Like your whole investment, your whole house is out the door. So I wanted to protect myself the best way possible because I was a young female with, you know, no type of assistance or anything. So I structured it that way. I structured it as a trust. And that's how I was kind of like forced into it. But I had mentorship. I was going to boot camps and stuff like that. And I had a mentor who helped me. And that's what my mentor does,
Okay.
utilizes a land trust to flip these properties.
Okay.
But
Okay.
thank you. I appreciate the gems. I really do. Thank you so much.
For sure. I got one other question for you.
Yes.
If you have a mortgage on the property you're putting in a trust, do you have someone that could eliminate that?
Yeah. Hello, how are you?
Yeah. So Orlando, he talks about eliminating mortgages. He knows how to do it. But basically what you have to do in order to eliminate your mortgage is you have to sue your mortgage company because they put you in, you know, in an illegal contract. So yes, you can eliminate your mortgage.
Okay. Okay. Because I seen you guys last night talking. I was like, yeah, I want to make sure that everyone knows that you do that as well. So I
Yes,
appreciate.
Orlando does it. Orlando,
Okay.
he eliminates people's mortgages.
And
Right,
and
Mr.
and don't,
Acosta.
yeah, and don't I don't want nobody to you know, take anything I was saying wrong. I wasn't saying anything about Christina being wrong on anything. I was just saying because I don't want nobody to be doing something and then get, you know, like being paying something or being liable or who something, and I wasn't saying that. So I was just breaking down something. So if I seemed like I was like overly exuberant, I apologize.
I don't think anyone's offended, man. I think everybody's here trying to learn from her and trying to give her gems, and everybody's just trying to learn, man. Nobody's coming down on anybody. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about anyone else, but
Right.
I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing because there's a lot of people that hold the information and won't give it out. But
Right.
I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And that is so true. A lot of people, they withhold information. I was actually told not to tell everybody, not to tell anybody, just to keep it a secret, keep it private, keep it for myself. And I don't feel like that's right. I feel like I just want to share the information because if I'm setting myself up for financial freedom, why am I not going to help my neighbor if I know like the loophole, or if I know, you know, the best way in order for them to, you know, build the wealth rapidly or whatever, or the best way for them to protect themselves. If I know some information and if I'm doing it myself, then I'm just going to share the information. And that's the position that I'm in right now. So from when I was in my career as a registered nurse, I just always been an educator and always just, you know, care about people and their best interests. So that's why I'm out here doing what I'm doing. And I appreciate those kind comments. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
All right, go for it.
I've been listening for a while. It was taking me a little minute to transition from Instagram to here. So, but yeah, I was just trying to figure out when you were speaking about the particular trust. I'm just aware that you have revocable trust and then you have irrevocable trust. So, and I know they operate differently. So, based off the trust, the ones that you're talking about, are you referring to irrevocable trust?
That is correct. Yes, I'm referring to an irrevocable trust. So you can't
Okay.
you can't make any active changes to it. You can just you know, you can add amendments to it, but like I said, you need the approval of the beneficiary in order to do that. And an irrevocable trust becomes irrevocable once the person who created it passes away.
Yes, correct. And but yeah, I see that you're very knowledgeable, so I'm just making sure I'm on track with what I think I know. You know, so basically as well, when you're dealing with contract law, this is more dealing with contract law and common law, correct?
Say that again.
Are we, when you're speaking of these particular trusts, are we talking about more so dealing with contract law and like
Yes.
common law?
Yes, contract law, common law, yes.
Okay.
All trusts and contracts.
Okay, because I've been having a little problem. I'm out in New York, right? And I was trying to actually open up a business trust that was supposed to be constructed through common law, but they've been turning me down. I went to New Jersey.
Remember I talked to you. I remember who you are. Remember me and you talked already?
No, me and you never spoke yet. I actually, that's how I found her page, is by I saw your page. I don't know how I found your page today on Instagram. I saw you talking to the young lady, and then I went on her page. I was like, oh, she's having a webinar tonight. So it was just like God's divine that I just came into.
But I think me and you did talk because your voice sounds familiar.
I'm not sure.
I think we did talk because just your voice sounds familiar. Like we already talked on like IG. Now remember you asked me about trust and whatnot.
Maybe so. I'm not. I know your face. I know I'm just now seeing your face and like meeting you like on Instagram, and this is my first time really like seeing you was today on Instagram. So I'm not sure if we probably spoke.
I think we had a IG conversation. Like I DM'd you and I hit you up. I think because your voice sounds familiar. I'm just
get a chance to check your DM and see you know, if it's me, as far as, because what I'll do, I'll DM you too, so we can make sure we're on the same page. But you know, definitely, because basically I went to Chase Bank in Brooklyn and
the reason why they keep turning you down, when you mention common law, that you can't, they're not moving in common law right now. They're under UCC codes and statutes. So this is all contract. So you can't go in there saying, you know, well, common law, they're going to shut everything down right there.
The thing is, I didn't even say nothing. They told me that they had to send it to the back office to get reviewed. So I just gave them the paperwork.
First of all, you're not supposed to show your entire. Did you show your entire trust?
Yeah, I did.
You already pierced your trust. Nobody was supposed to see that. You was only supposed to get them the first page, and the last page. That was it.
Oh yeah, I
And
didn't know yet because they kept
and the
asking someone, oh,
schedule,
we need
I think it was the schedule. I'm not showing the schedule. Schedule C, I think the schedule A. I mean,
oh,
that was the only ones they were supposed to get. They wasn't some, so you gonna have to redo your whole trust anyway.
okay, because it's
Good.
if your understanding is the business trust considered what you call a U-bot?
Oh, that was a business trust.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then you good. You good because it don't matter because that business trust supposed to be in the public anyway. I thought you was talking about your personal trust.
No, 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 no. Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I didn't go. Yeah, it was a business. I got an EIN for it, and I was trying to open up a bank account so I could start doing business. But they kept saying that one place said, "Oh, we don't do unregistered trust because it's not registered through a state." And I understood why it's not registered through a state because I'm not working. I'm not moving under legislature's law.
Well, no, you got it. You got.
I'm sorry, it was breaking up a little bit.
But anyway, so you're supposed to just give them the declaration of your contract. That's it. So you're not supposed to give them your entire trust. No one is supposed to see your entire trust, only you. So if you are rejected by one bank, you just go to another bank. That's it.
If-
So you keep going through banks and credit unions until you get one that is, that accepts your trust. Another thing is you don't want to tell them that it's a business trust. So if you tell them that it's for business, they're going to reject you. So you just have to tell them it's a standard regular. Don't say it's a business trust. You have to be very precautious with the words that you're using because, like you said, you move in common law, but they are not.
Yeah, they're not moving. They're not moving in common law. So you by that being you're using that for business, it doesn't affect you as far as the piercing go because the fact is that is for business purpose. Now, but technically you shouldn't have showed it because let's say you take your personal and you transfer everything over there, then you don't want to have no, because I don't have no personal account. I have all business accounts. So my point is, but they don't know everything that's in the trust. Only the trustee and the appointed people and the beneficiary. That's it. But they
Oh,
don't. That's it. So, but I don't do not like myself. I don't have. I shut all my personal accounts down. Switched everything over to my business because
okay.
because and because the situation is that in the United States they look at everything you do as business. We coming in talking about my personal house, my personal car. They don't work that way. They look at it as every transaction you doing is business. But you talk personal or whatever the case may be, y'all talking two different language. So now when I'm talking to them, everything I'm talking to them is on a business level. I'm the executor. This is what's going on. This is the type of transaction I want. This is the type of contract we need to sit down and negotiate. They pissed off with me when I'm doing that, but they already know, like, yo, we can't get no benefit out of this dude at all.
Okay. And so basically, as far as right now, my business trust, I just have to just try a different bank, like just leave Chase Bank totally alone, just go to a whole different establishment.
Yes, try another bank and credit unions too.
What? All right, I'm gonna give you a game real quick. How much do you have in finance right now?
I'm good.
Okay, so
Okay,
let's say,
Orlando, that's unrelated.
oh no, I was going
Like,
I was
what
going
are we talking about here? There's
no,
other people who have questions.
okay, no, I was gonna say he could take that money, open up an insurance policy, put that same money in there, put it in the trust that he already got, and then leverage it from there to take the money without trying to, without them, as far as finances and exposure and all that. That's what I was saying.
Yes,
It
and
wasn't me trying to
that's
get it.
yeah, that's good, but we're not talking about insurance right now, but I totally get it. And you know what? They need to get educated on insurance because they could build wealth that way. So Michelle has a question. She said, can she use her commission and her job, like her W-2 from her job? So you are going to be taxed regular for your W-2, and there's no way of getting around that unless you have a 1099. What you can do with your 1099 is you can distribute all the funds from your 1099. You can donate them into your trust so you don't have to pay taxes on your 1099 income. Is there any other questions? I see another hand up. I see iPhone with a hand up. Can you unmute and ask your question, please? Hey, Colin, how are you? All right, let's see. Any other questions? I'm trying to go like in the chat. I see a couple, but okay, so Shay asked, so if I have a trucking company already, can I move it to a holding company and then a trust? Is that correct? So that's, so you could be structured that way, right? Because a trucking company you have is very liable, right? The trucks are over the road and you could, hit another car and get into a big lawsuit. So with that type of business, you definitely want to be using a holding company. So the holding company is going to own the trucking company, and the holding company is going to own the truck assets. And the trucking company is just going to collect the income from, whatever the trucks are making, right? So the trucking company is just going to hold the money. The holding company is going to hold the actual assets, which are the trucks. And then your business trust is going to own the holding company. So you're going to have like, 2 layers of protection from that trucking company. Let's say there's another one. Is there any limits on how many trusts you can create? No, it's unlimited. You can create as many trusts as you want. You can have multiple trusts. Me, I have 4 trusts. I'm about to create another one. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So when you donate your 1099, is there a way to do that? Yeah, you just transfer all. So wherever the income from the 1099, wherever it went, let's say it went into your bank account and it's for, let's just say 30K, you're going to donate that 30K to your trust. And so all you have to do is just issue yourself a donation receipt. And then with that donation receipt, you can give that to your accountant to show that you donated the 30K to the trust. So I'm gonna drop, I don't know, I'm gonna drop the website. If you guys are interested in the course, pre-sale is going on right now until November 10th. So right now the price is $497, and then on 11/11 the price is going to go up to $997. hold on one second. Everyone. If you guys have any questions, you can also book a call with me if you have any more questions, comments, concerns. Another thing is if you wanted to get started right away and you didn't want to wait until 11/11, then you could book a one-on-one with me for the trust and we'll do it together. It'll be like a total of 5 Zoom calls and that's $9.97. I have another question here. You could unmute and ask your question.
Hey, how's it going? So great
Good.
call this evening.
Good. How are
Appreciate
you?
it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
So, just a simplified question as far as, all these different entities that you talked about, the different trust and holding and all that. Do you recommend that these different accounts be at different banks? Or does it matter, if I've had both business and family trust, for example, at Chase Bank, just for example?
Yeah, they don't have to be at different banks. They can be at the same bank. The most important thing is that you are not commingling funds. So you are not, mixing the funds together, just keep them, separate. So if you are doing a transaction for your private family, like let's say you buying groceries, right? You're not going to buy groceries with your debit card from your business trust. That's commingling funds. So if you needed to do a distribution, you just transfer money from your business trust to your private family trust, and then you buy your groceries. So that's the most important thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That was a good question. Thank you for asking. So Colin said, do not put your trust where your personal bank account is ever. So I agree with Colin. That's a good point. So if you have because you know what, then it becomes easier for you to commingle funds too. So his recommendation, and Colin, he has a trust. So his recommendation is that whoever you personally banking with, you use another a bank for your trust. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for the input. Michelle says, how long will we have access to the course? I plan on doing it one-on-one and hopefully keeping the course for later. Yes. So you will have access to the course for life. It's lifetime access. So you can go through the course whenever you want, and you can create as many trusts as you want. So you definitely want access to the trust just in case in 2 years down the line, you want to create another trust. That's a good question, Michelle. Thank you. So Michelle says she's on board. So I hope that some of you guys are, ready to start operating with the trust. I know some of you have a trust already, which is amazing, right? Shout out to, I can't even pronounce it. I think it's called Scene Setter Lifestyle. Shout out to you for having a trust. Shout out to Colin for having a trust, Orlando for having a trust, right? And shout out to everyone who is in this class right now, because they about to get structured the right way and start building and protecting that wealth so that they can preserve it. Because let's say you make a $2 million and you leave it to your kids and then they just spend it all. No, you have it in the trust, you have limitations, and they can get their distributions and stuff, and that money could be preserved for their children and their children. So yeah, we need to start, we need to come together as a community and start doing things the right way. Any other last questions, comments, or concerns? I had so much fun doing this Zoom call, so I'm gonna do one next week. So if you have any friends or family that need this information, you can send them the link, and I'll be here next week, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
I got one last thing to ask you.
Yes, what's up? Is it Scene Setter?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. All right, lifestyle, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I love your energy.
Thank
Um,
you.
So I'm thinking, let's say, because I'm learning, all right, the business trust now, right? Once you establish that, right? And let's say if 6 months down the line, you want to start a new business, so you create another business trust, right?
Yep.
Is it a problem with transferring funds from that trust to the new trust?
So you just have to structure it like a donation, like you are donating funds to your new trust. So you just have to,
Okay.
yeah, you just have to fill out the form and add it to your trust.
Okay, because sometimes you may
It's just
need
like,
funds from one
say that
to
again.
start another business. You know,
Right.
sometimes you might need money that's in one business to start a next business.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And
Okay.
like,
And last question,
go ahead.
I'm listening.
No, so what I was gonna say
No,
was,
you
like,
first.
in the corporate world, what we do is, outside of trust, what we do is we issue loans to our business, right? So like me, Christina, I'm gonna lend my business, Elite Homes, 100K, and we're gonna do a promissory note. We're gonna get it notarized. And then, once once the terms are up to 12 months, my business has to give me back the 100K plus interest.
Okay. Wow. That's what's up. Okay. Okay. So yeah, all right. So you know what it is? It's like I'm thinking too, like I think that's like I would love to like maybe definitely book a call personal thing with you because I have to make sure that what I have is structured right.
Yeah,
Because
I don't mind taking a look at it.
that's very important. And I also was thinking you mentioned something before when you were saying about as far as with your family trust is like when you're moving money from your businesses to the family trust so you can pay bills and stuff like that. Like I remember you saying something like that. How does that work again?
Yeah, so just to avoid you commingling funds, because like you don't want, like, let's say you have a business transaction, you don't want to use like the debit card that's linked to your family trust account, right? Because it has nothing to do with it. So you need to make sure that you keep the money separate. And that's why Colin was saying, hey, if you have a personal account, don't bank with the same company, because that's going to put you in a position to where, you might possibly commingle funds. So that's why you just need to keep everything separate. So even though you have multiple trusts, let's say you have 3, 4, 5, 6 different trusts, you need to keep all the funds separate and, their transactions separate. You need to have really good accounting and bookkeeping.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Okay,
that puts you in a position, if you commingling funds, that puts you in a position to where they could pierce your trust, and you don't want to be in that position. Did you get the text message for this call? You have the number?
Yes.
Okay, so you could just text that number so that you could get the link to get on the calendar, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking all these good questions.
Thank you.
Hi, Monta. I hope I'm
Hey, what's going on?
good. How are you?
I'm fine. So I'm getting, how can I say? I've been going down this journey of figuring everything out, especially trust.
Uh-huh.
And it's a question that I kind of know, but I was just asking. So for every entity, as far as business is concerned, and well, not strictly business, but business, you want to get a trust for every business that you establish, right?
You do. You want to keep it separate. Like if you have, a trucking company and then you have a real estate company, those are 2 different businesses, and you don't want to be mixing those transactions together, because if something happened with your trucking company and your real estate company got a couple of properties, they're going to take those properties from you.
Right. You want to keep everything separate. So the
Yes.
trust is basically your the vehicle that you use in order to navigate for the best tax advantages, and everything's anonymous and financial, correct?
Yes, that is absolutely right. You hit the nail
Oh
on the head.
man, that was bars right there.
What? Listen, I was doing pop quizzes and you won. You got an A+.
Oh man, so then on a personal side, I don't think I got my mind wrapped all the way around it. So on a personal side, well, you would establish a trust with your family, but if you establish a trust with your family, it would have to be put into some type of entity or corporation anyway, so it still would be doing business anyway.
Well, what I would say to that is that's why I shut all my personal accounts down. I
Okay.
put everything in my business. And when you're talking about groceries and all that, there's a form with the IRS called the 3491 form. Consumers are exempt from paying any groceries, but they don't get a form out. Those forms out to the consumer or whatever. And basically under that form, it also says that if they doing services of, providing goods to the general public, they have to accept the form. So that means
Okay.
grocery, anybody selling anything, cars, whatever. So you could actually buy the groceries
Okay.
under a business purchase because they don't know if that's that food you're buying business or whatever. Because
Right.
there's a thing in the IRS called ordinary and necessary. 162, I think it's 162A. You tell them what's ordinary and necessary to your business. So
Right.
let's say you buy them groceries. You do stuff with your family. Let's say y'all talking over business at the dinner table for like 20 minutes.
Right.
Well, that 20 minutes can be listed as a business meeting right there.
Right. And you might have weekly or daily business meetings.
Right. And the food, and now that same food that you purchased, that can be a tax write-off.
So now let me ask y'all this then. So I understand that because of the Social Security number, we doing business regardless whether we like it or not. So the thing is, I'm always talking business just because I am. I don't know. That's what it is. So it's always like that for real. So now I've been introduced to a self-sustaining nonprofit, which is a trust in some type of form. How does that correlate with the other trusts, or is it like a hybrid trust, or how did that go?
Well, first of all, with you want to stay away from your personal social security number. I don't
Right.
technically like. I stopped using. I stopped using the social. Right. I got to bring it up when I bring it up, but at least most of the time, I use the EIN number. That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
Because when you're doing business, they'll try to get you to use the social, but it's not mandated to use the social. Because if you tell them, listen, I don't use the social, this is my EIN number, that's what we use in the day. Now they'll try to take you through a whole bunch of rigmarole, but they can't tell you what number to use.
Okay. So now so I was saying, like, with a self-supporting nonprofit, how does that correlate to the other trust? Is it because from my understanding, what I was told, it's somewhat of a trust, or it is a trust, it's just a different kind. So
It's how you structure it. It's
Okay.
all about the paperwork, and then you have to get a separate EIN number for it.
Okay. So you want to keep it, because the Social Security number is basically personal, but EIN is all business, and you want to keep it all business.
No social security number at all. They'll try to get you to put it on the document. Tell them, hell no, I'm not putting that shit on the document.
Okay, no problem. Now, stand tall.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
You just use the EIN number for everything. That's why they're looking at everything you do, even when you go to the grocery store, whatever. What you consider personal, they look at it as business. Because if you use that social, that's what getting you 60% tax.
Exactly. No, it's all business, because I do understand it. I'm versed in it, but like how y'all y'all deeper than into me, and I know it's more to know than more to know. But I do know at the core of it, at least in America for sure, if not everywhere, but America, it's all business. I don't care how you want to slice it. It's all business, so keep it 100%. Like that. Yeah. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Orlando, Kendra asks, what's the form number for the IRS for the groceries write-off?
3494. $34.91.
3491, Kendra. That's a good question.
You can look it up and put it on the screen if you want.
3491.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta actually read it out to them and tell them or show them on the screen.
No, I'm just keeping this strictly on trust, okay? I'm not going to the left. I'm not going to the right. We're not talking about
All
insurance.
right, I was just saying that's all. I wasn't trying to.
Listen, there's just so much, and we can only, we can only tell. I can only tell you guys so much in 1 hour, like.
Right.
So, but anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. Any last questions, comments, concerns? All right, I have fun. I have fun. Thank you for.
I gotta holler at you about the holding. I gotta holler at you about the holding company.
Okay, all right. You're gonna call me after I end this call. Let me see. Okay, thank you, Michelle. She said amazing presentation. Thank you so much. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is I am Christina Yvette. The name of my company is 7 Ways to Wealth. So I'm all about helping people. So let's get it. Let's start building this generational wealth, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. We have fun. If you have any questions, the text number that you got in order to get into this Zoom call, you can text that number if you want to book a call, if you got any questions, anything, if you need any links, anything, just text that number, okay? All right, be blessed.